Impersonation is a primarily legal term meaning to assume the identity of another person with intent to deceive, while impersonation is the act of attempting to deceive someone by pretending to be another person. Some impersonations are harmless, like comedians who impersonate by mimicking the voices and mannerisms of famous people, or actors who play historical figures in movies. Today on this episode of The Eagle, we shall be talking on the evil and consequences of impersonation. I am your host, Aisha Muhammad, welcoming you to the program.
Good day, Nigerians. As we all know, cybercrime is progressing at an incredibly fast pace. It is giving a bad image to Nigeria, affecting our economy and draining the youth of this country. Let us work collectively against cybercrime wherever it is committed. I am Abdurrashid Bawa, Executive Chairman, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Stand for the right thing always. Thank you.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission officially launched the Integrity and Zero Tolerance Clubs at Government Secondary School Buhari and Bayes University, both in the Federal Capital Territory. This follows its continuous efforts to catch the Nigerian children young, mold and instill the spirit of integrity in them, and encourage youths to own the fight against corruption by being anti-corruption vanguards. The launch of the clubs are part of the preventive engagement of the EFCC. Here are details of this engagement.
The Executive Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Abdurrashid Bawa, called on students in institutions of higher learning across the country to avoid all forms of internet fraud in order to accelerate the development of the nation. He gave the charge at the inauguration of Zero Tolerance Club at Bayes University, Abuja. Bawa, represented by the Secretary to the Commission, George Epungu, said the penalties of internet crimes are stiff and therefore enjoined them to avoid all temptations that may lead them to join the trend. He pointed out that variants of internet fraud such as romance scam, business email compromise, hacking, impersonation, forex scam and others are corrupt practices and must not be found among young people.
As students, you are expected to channel your creative energies into useful engagements and not into dishonest and dubious means of cheating others of their resources. Internet crimes are economic crimes and penalties for them are stiff.
Director, Public Affairs Department of the Commission, CE Ositanwaja, also emphasized the importance of joining the club and the essence of the operational manual for Integrity and Zero Tolerance clubs, which were presented to the school as a guide for the club's activities.
The club is to engage with the young ones because all the activities of the EFCC intersect everything that the youths crave, the youths want, the reality of the Nigerian youth today is technology, is employment, is better, desire for a better society, and everything that the EFCC was set up to do and is doing has to do with all of this.
Also at the occasion, Head Enlightenment and Reorientation Unit of the Commission, Aisha Mohammed, said the essence of launching the club was to inculcate virtues of integrity, honesty, discipline, tolerance, and patriotism in the students.
We all know right from wrong, so why don't we go for right? The EFCC cannot do it alone, and that's why we want you to be our ambassador, anti-corruption vanguards. We want you to be ambassadors. We want you to see something and say something to us, and together we'll make Nigeria better. We don't have any country than Nigeria. Wherever we run to, we'll still come back to our country, and your name will never change, even if you have dual citizenship.
Response, Registrar of the University, Mani Ibrahim Mohammed, underscored the essence of being upright and charged the students to avoid crimes and criminality at all costs. He emphasized that integrity may not give money today, but it is going to put everyone on the path of success.
there is nothing more important than integrity. We've been saying it. He said it, I said it, and your integrity may not give you money today, but that integrity is going to put you on a path that you will succeed.
The executive chairman of the EFCC, Abdurrashid Bawa, has admonished students across the country to shun corrupt practices in both little and big things, as no corrupt act is justifiable. Bawa stated this at the launch of Integrity Club at Government Secondary School, Buhari. The EFCC's boss, who spoke through the Deputy Director, Creative Engagement, DC Inwanyima Okano, noted that in the particular instance of a school environment, corruption manifests in the following unhealthy practices: lying, examination malpractices, internet fraud, stealing pens and pencils, books, and any other thing that does not belong to an individual. He therefore enjoined the students to desist from every act of corruption, no matter how little it may look or sound, and embrace rules and regulations of the club, and in the process, make Nigeria better and greater. Speaking earlier in his welcome address, Vice Principal Academics of the school, Majinwa, said corruption had become the order of the day and commended the efforts of President Muhammadu Buhari for frontally fighting the menace. He urged the students to complement the government's efforts by desisting from all forms of unhealthy practices. He insisted that with the launch of the club in schools, students will begin to serve as vanguards in tackling the menace.
Corruption in the country has become the order of the day, and the present administration of President Muhammadu Buhari has it as a major priority to reduce corruption, or if possible, to stop it completely. And with the launching of the club in schools, the school children, who are mostly youth, shall serve as vanguard in the effort to stop corruption in Nigeria.
Also at the launch of the club, Head of Enlightenment and Orientation Unit of the Commission, Aisha Mohammed, charged the students to be of good character and serve as ambassadors and foot soldiers of the Commission. Golden Onwura, reporting for the Eagle.
The Forensics Laboratory of the EFCC has been described as the best in sub-Saharan Africa. This description was made by the Executive Chairman of the EFCC, Abdurrashid Bawa, when members of the Cadet Course 72 of the Nigerian Defense Academy NDA Cybersecurity Department paid an educational visit to the Commission's headquarters in Abuja. According to him, the EFCC as an anti-graft agency is sufficiently equipped for the task of fighting economic and financial crimes, and its forensic laboratory is approved. Here are details.
The EFCC chairman, who spoke through the Director of Public Affairs CE Osita Onwaja, said that the EFCC has the best forensic department in the whole of Africa and that the work being done in the commission is encompassing, very technical and deep. He commended the cadets and the team for visiting the commission and promised that the EFCC will continue to work with the NDA in fighting economic and financial crimes in the country.
The work that we do here is very deep, it's very encompassing, all-encompassing, it's very wide, it's very technical.
Speaking on the importance and relevance of information and communication technology ICT to the EFCC, Director ICT of the EFCC Isa Abdullahi stated that the prevalence of technology has taken over and it's aiding the job the EFCC is doing. He stated that the ICT department of the EFCC has two broad units under it: information technology and cybersecurity. Isa said that the whole essence of cybersecurity, as the name implies, is to secure the cyberspace of an organization.
If I stay here and talk about the services we have, it may take me about 2 or 3 hours. We have a large range of services, some of which, as you know, your armed forces, I don't need to say them here with due respect. So, but I'm trying to tell you that you are in a place where ICT is very, very, very important. The major success of the code area is as a result of foresight innovations surrounding operations support in this place. Most of the things we do, we achieve it because we sit down and think science and think technology.
Highlighting the role of the Forensics and Crime Laboratory Service Department, ACE Uzoma Geoffrey Okolori stated that the department provides a timely, scientific and professional investigation and prosecution of criminal cases to stakeholders and also provides support to other agencies. He also noted that the EFCC's laboratory has enough capabilities to train not just its staff, but enough to support the military, Nigerian police force and other agencies.
Okay, so I'll give you a brief of the history of the EFCC Forensic Laboratory. We'll look at what forensics is, look at the organogram, look at the sections in the laboratory, look at the various roles of the sections, then we'll focus on digital forensic section, and we conclude it by looking at digital forensic investigation.
Responding, Wing Commander Emmanuel Haman Gazama, retired, stated that the essence of their visit was to complement what the cadets learn in their classes so that they will know the realities on ground, and also to align with the National Universities Commission NUC's curriculum, the benchmark requirement for the award of Bachelor's of Science degree in cybersecurity. He thanked the EFCC for hosting the cadets and promised to work with the Commission in the anti-corruption fight.
Now, when the results come out, when after processing it, you will now bring out the whole thing as if you're working on that person's system.
Abbas Abubakar Umar reporting for the Eagle.
According to the Cambridge Dictionary, impersonation is the act of intentionally copying another person's characteristics such as their behavior, speech, appearance or expressions, especially to make people laugh. And also it is the act of attempting to deceive someone by pretending that you are another person. I guess the latter is the one we will be discussing on our interview segment, but let's join Ojochokutami Eche to take us through the interview segment. Over to you, Ojochokutami.
My name is Ojo Chokutami Eche, and we're here to discuss the evils and consequences of impersonation. And I can tell you that we have an able hand in the chat room today. I'm talking about Assistant Commander of the EFCC 2, Joseph Yepui. He is the head of the tax fraud section of EFCC headquarters. Thank you so much, AC Yepui, for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
What is impersonation? I would like to begin from there because a lot of people might see impersonation from different perspectives. So, as a law enforcement agent, what would you define impersonation to be?
Impersonation has different connotations. In simple terms, impersonation means to imitate, to copy someone's behavior. But when you look at the law has criminalized impersonation. In the criminal code, in section 484, it states that impersonation has to do with a criminal intent by any person to defraud another person by representing to be another person to gain either material benefit or something else.
Impersonation, representing someone else to be you and all that. And then people may begin to wonder, what has the FCC got to do with impersonation? So how is it an economic or a financial crime?
Well, the EFCC is actually very, very concerned against impersonation because over the course of time, we've realized that people try to misrepresent themselves to be someone else, to deceive another person to gain benefit. The EFCC defines an economic and financial crimes as a non-violent crime, an illicit activity for you to gain wealth. Therefore, most people engage in impersonation to gain something that will benefit them at the expense of another different person. That's why EFCC is concerned.
What examples, practical examples, would you give us as to ways by which people impersonate other people?
Okay, basically we have different types of impersonation. We have the executive impersonation. The executive impersonation are people that represent themselves to be at the helm of affairs of an organization. They go in there to represent themselves by saying that they are the chief executive and they can award so contract to another different person. So that person will be convinced because they will bring out certain attributes that makes them look as if they are the chief executive. So these people fall prey to these schemes and they end up losing money because they come in with the intention of helping. They're going to help you. But by the time you fall into their stories or to their gimmicks, they'll start demanding money from you and invariably you start losing money. There's another type of scheme again that it's called the vendor type of impersonation. These are people that represent entities that either provide services or sell goods. They tell people that they are into the business of either fashion designer or they're importing cars. They will go in there, they will represent themselves as a reputable entity that is known for importation of cars or selling cars. They will tell them that they have so number of cars that are out there for sale. They can even go out to give an opportunity that these cars are being given at a reduced price. They're being given as promos to entice people to key into it. By the time people key into it, they pay in huge sums of money, and at the long run, they lose some of this money.
Now, I can see why the EFCC is really concerned going against impersonation. Maybe because it affects the people themselves, it affects the society, it affects the country at large. So tell us, AC Yepwe, in what ways does impersonation affect, the entire populace?
Okay. There are different ways where impersonation affects even the person that perpetrates the crime. The person that perpetrates the crime, first of all, will be sanctioned. He will be punished. Once you are out there and the public know that this person is an impersonator, he loses public confidence. People will not want to deal with you as an impersonator. As a society, the people get scared when they identify a certain sect of people to be fraudsters or to be people that impersonate other persons for personal gain. They tend to lose trust. They don't try to deal with you. And also there's also reputational damage. Reputational damage in the sense that people will not want to engage you in any meaningful activity because they know that this person has been engaged in one form of crime or the other. One of them might also be impersonation. So as a country, and this is one of the things that Nigeria is dealing with, and EFCC is dealing with. You can see that recently the wave of Yahoo that has been going on, these are people that go out there and deceive other people from other countries. And these people know that these criminals are from Nigeria. Now, when a genuine person goes out there internationally to engage in any business activity, the people will be kind of skeptical if this person is a genuine person to engage him in a business activity because they might be losing their money, you understand, especially if the person turns out to be a fraudulent person. So it affects the country as a whole. It affects the country, even individuals that are engaged in meaningful business activity because there will be loss of revenue. They won't be getting.
I would like to take you up on the very first you mentioned. That's how impersonation affects the perpetrator, the impersonator. Now, talking about punishment for impersonation, considering the laws that govern Nigeria, what would you say there? In what ways does the law punish people who impersonate other people for criminal purposes?
Interestingly, just like I said earlier, that the penal code and the criminal code has captured impersonation as a crime. And for impersonation is a felonious offense. And a felony is 3 years. So if an individual is caught to be a criminal that has perpetrated impersonation, he will be sentenced to 3 years, or he will be fined, or he can be fined and also be imprisoned as well. Then there's a type of impersonation that has to do with misrepresentation of a victim who is entitled to a will or a property. If that person goes in and say that I am the bona fide heir that's supposed to get this property or get this will, and he successfully get this will assigned to himself and all the gains attributed to it, if the person is finally caught and investigated, that person will be sent to prison for 14 years.
I would like us to go to the efforts that the EFCC has been putting in place so far to curtail the activities of impersonators. Working with the EFCC so far, what would you say they are? How has the EFCC, put up its efforts to help curb the crime of impersonation in the country?
Okay, the EFCC has put in several measures in place because we are aware that EFCC is one of the foremost agencies in Nigeria that fights economic and financial crimes. And EFCC is known worldwide. Now, EFCC, we are very particular when it comes to our reputation. And as well, we have put in place where individuals that are from EFCC will be easily identified. They will be easily identified, one, by their ID card. The EFCC have taken measures to see how we change this ID card over time to guard against people that want to impersonate the staff of the EFCC over time. An EFCC operative also, it's someone that will not go out on an operation alone. When the people out there see someone that is coming as a lone officer to say that he's a staff of the EFCC, then you should be cautious about that, because the EFCC will hardly send one staff to go out there for an investigation. The EFCC also, we have jackets. We try as much as possible to put in a jacket when we go for operational activities. We have seen instances where people will cry out there to say that the EFCC have come in to burgle their house, to gain entry into their premises. And by the time you start asking questions, you realize that these are not staff of the EFCC. Some people have gone in there to even try and make the jacket that look like that of the EFCC, to impersonate staff of the EFCC. But we have special features in a jacket that will guard against the people impersonating the EFCC staff. Also, the EFCC has allocated each and every staff of the commission a form which is identified in the commission. This is one of the measures put in place by the present chairman of the EFCC to ensure that impersonators, you understand, are being caught. Because if you are calling a suspect or a complainant to tell them that, okay, you are being invited to EFCC, you are expected to call from the phone number that is assigned to you as a staff of the EFCC. So it will be very difficult for someone to impersonate an EFCC staff if you don't have that number. All right. We try as much as possible to publicize people that have been caught to have impersonated a staff of the EFCC. If you are very aware, or recently, the EFCC has put it out there of one individual who has gone to represent himself, impersonate to be the chairman of the EFCC. We put it out there with his face so that the people will know that this person is an impersonator. So we try as much as possible to carry out public enlightenment for people to know that these are criminals. These are ways that people will try to misrepresent themselves to be staff of the EFCC. So it's a problem, but we are working on it, and we're gaining grounds. We're gaining grounds to see how to maintain our integrity out there.
I would like you to give us your final word to the perpetrators, to criminals, and to the general public before I let you out of the studio.
Thank you very much. My advice is for them to know that crime doesn't pay. The EFCC is out there and it has put in modalities in place to ensure that people who impersonate are caught and are properly dealt with according to the law.
That's it. My name is Ojo Chukutami Eche. Stay tuned for the rest of the program.
You heard our guests there, Joseph Yepui. Crime doesn't pay, and the EFCC is out there and will get you anywhere, anytime. Stand for integrity, be a patriotic citizen, and save the name and image of our country. Say no to economic and financial crimes. And that's how we are wrapping up on today's episode of The Eagle. You can send an email to info@efcc.gov.ng and speak to our officers on 0809 3322 and follow us on all our social media platforms at official EFCC for all matters relating to economic and financial crimes. Use the EFCC mobile app, The Eagle Eye, to report any fraud you see happening around you. You download the app, you follow the steps and report fraud on the go. And you can also take pictures of corrupt practices and upload them. I am Aisha Muhammad, leaving you with this parting words that says, impersonation is an offense that has a penalty. Think twice before you think of getting involved. Desist from it and all forms of economic and financial crimes. Goodbye. God bless Nigeria. Please do stay safe, be kind to yourself and to others around you, and do enjoy the rest of the week.